far beyond Neptune's frozen orbit, in a region where sunlight fades into permanent dusk, something impossible has occurred. NASA's deep space instruments have recorded movement inside an interstellar object, a place where nothing should move at all, not drifting dust, not shifting ice. Something controlled, something intentional. Inside the object now known as 3I, something moved. When astronomers first detected the 3I Atlas, it seemed like a routine visitor from another star system, a cold mix of rock, ice, and ancient debris quietly passing through our solar neighborhood. But the more NASA analyzed it, the more the puzzle deepened. Its velocity didn't match natural models. Its flight path was unusually exact, almost as if guided. Even its uneven spin defied the behavior of typical comets. And then came the eerie green glow, an emerald radiance, unlike anything produced by known cosmic chemistry. Researchers stayed cautious. Space often surprises us, but everything changed last week when the James Webb Space Telescope detected something astonishing, a faint, rhythmic, mechanical-like motion coming from deep within the object. Think about that. A body that has wandered through the galaxy for millions of years, suddenly showing signs of internal movement. At first, NASA suspected a sensor error. Ultra-sensitive cameras often pick up static, stray particles, or cosmic ray strikes. But then 3 separate observatories, the Webb, the Hubble Space Telescope, and the European Space Agency's Solar Orbiter, each confirmed the same anomaly. So the question isn't whether something shifted inside the 3I Atlas, it was why. Dr. Stephen Patel of NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center put it simply, "We've seen comets tumble and asteroids crack, but we've never seen one shift from the inside, like something is pushing back." His words captured the growing alarm across multiple research teams. The movement inside the 3I Atlas was small, just a few meters, but it triggered an immediate reaction. The core temperature plunged nearly 100 degrees in seconds, as if something inside had absorbed the heat. Moments later, sensors detected a sharp electromagnetic pulse, brief, rhythmic, and unmistakably deliberate. A pulse means energy, and energy means activity. While official reports call it an unclassified thermodynamic fluctuation, scientists behind closed doors have settled on one term: anomaly. The implications are staggering. The 3I Atlas didn't form here. It's a high-speed traveler from another star system. For it to move from within suggests an internal process or an internal occupant. And that's where the theories begin. Some researchers argue it's natural, trapped gases reacting to sunlight. Possible, yes, but gases don't pulse in perfect intervals or drain heat in an instant. Others suspect an exotic crystalline material, something capable of flexing when hit by radiation, almost like a cosmic memory alloy. That could explain movement, but not the electromagnetic signature. And then there's the theory many hesitate to voice, yet can't ignore. What if 3I Atlas isn't a rock at all? What if it's a shell? To understand why the shell theory isn't as unbelievable as it sounds, we have to look back at 3I Atlas's arrival. It entered our solar system from a direction almost perpendicular to the galactic plane, an angle that doesn't match the pull of any nearby star. It came out of the deep interstellar void, traveling alone, without a cluster or a predictable trajectory. That made it unusual from the start. Then came the first major clue. As the 3I Atlas crossed through the solar wind near Mars, its surface rippled. High-resolution images showed geometric patterns briefly forming across its exterior, hexagons in some regions, spirals in others, as if heat had exposed a hidden layer beneath the dust. When the glow faded, the patterns disappeared, almost like something had cloaked itself again. Now, new sensor data reveals a faint magnetic field surrounding 3I Atlas, something no natural object of its size should produce. The field is weak but steady, and it spikes exactly when internal movement is detected. It behaves as though something inside is generating or modulating it. Dr. Lynn Carver of MIT summed it up. If this is random behavior, it's the most precisely organized randomness we've ever recorded. So what could 3I Atlas truly be? Consider the possibility that it isn't a simple chunk of interstellar debris. Picture it instead as a capsule, an engineered vessel sent by an ancient civilization, traveling silently for millions of years between the stars. Inside such a structure could be a shielded chamber, protected from radiation and built to preserve something important. And if you wanted to send information, or even life across light years, You wouldn't rely on fragile radio signals. You'd send something that can endure the journey, a dormant biological seed, a self-repairing device, or a machine built to awaken only under specific conditions. And now, it may be waking up. NASA's cameras recently detected faint tremors running beneath the object's surface, small ripples that move like waves along its exterior. Even more alarming, its glow briefly shifted from green to violet, something sunlight cannot produce. That kind of color change suggests internal energy being released, not reflected. Some researchers propose that the 3I Atlas could contain superconductive materials that activate when exposed to certain radiation levels. Others suspect it could be a disguised probe, built to appear like a harmless comet until close enough to observe a planetary system up close. But if that theory holds any weight, it raises a critical question: why react now? The object has been within the solar system for months, exposed to sunlight, solar winds, and continuous observation. Yet nothing happened until it passed near Jupiter's massive magnetic field. Jupiter's magnetosphere is enormous, strong enough to generate electrical currents across vast distances. If 3I Atlas contains conductive or responsive materials, that magnetic surge could have acted like a trigger. And that leads to the most unsettling question scientists are now whispering. Was it designed to respond this way? If the 3I Atlas was designed to react this way, we may be witnessing the awakening of something ancient, not alive biologically, but alive in intent. Humanity has always asked, are we alone? But maybe that's the wrong question. Maybe the real question is, have we already been noticed? In 1977, NASA's Voyager probes carried golden records, Earth's greeting to the galaxy, a message meant for whoever might find it. That was our declaration that we exist. Now imagine that 3I Atlas is another civilization's equivalent, a drifting message, a coded artifact, a vessel placed in the void, waiting for a species advanced enough to detect it and stable enough to understand it. And this time, we're the ones who noticed. NASA has now increased monitoring to near-continuous observation. High-resolution imaging captures new surface details every few minutes. Each updated frame shows slight shifts in the shadows beneath the object's outer shell, as though cavities deep inside are changing shape. When scientists overlay these images, the internal silhouette appears to be moving, slowly, deliberately. But the question is, moving toward what? Some experts argue it's nothing more than ancient physics, internal stresses releasing after millions of years in deep space. But others believe the changes follow recognizable patterns. A few mathematicians at Caltech and Harvard have pointed out repeating angular structures, suggesting the possibility of encoded information similar to data matrices or symbolic compression techniques used in human communication systems. This has sparked a new hypothesis. What if 3I Atlas carries a stored archive, a cosmic library encoded in crystalline layers? A record preserved not on paper or metal, but embedded atomically within the structure itself. Under this theory, the movement we see could be the unfolding of that internal code, a kind of data bloom triggered by sunlight or magnetic exposure. In other words, the object may be opening, revealing information placed there eons ago. There's an even more unsettling interpretation of recent data. 3I Atlas may not be revealing itself, it may be adapting. Last week, its trajectory changed by 0.002 degrees. On paper, that looks tiny, but astrophysicists instantly flagged it as virtually impossible without an external force. No impacts, no nearby bodies with enough gravity, no solar wind surge strong enough to cause it. According to the calculations, the object didn't drift, it adjusted. The moment the data came in, the observation room fell silent. In space, motion always has a cause, and the idea that something inside could shift the path of an object weighing millions of tons is staggering. That's not a natural fluctuation, that's a controlled response. Scientists are now debating what this change means. One theory suggests a malfunction, an ancient probe slowly reactivating after ages of decay, with systems sparking to life in unpredictable ways. Another proposes something more structured, that 3I Atlas may contain an internal mechanism engineered to awaken near stars with specific energy signatures. In this scenario, the object acts as a galactic sensor, programmed to activate when entering a stellar environment similar to its origin point. These ideas may sound like science fiction, but scientific history is filled with concepts once considered impossible. A century ago, leaving Earth's atmosphere was fantasy. A few decades ago, interstellar visitors were only theoretical. Now, we're watching one alter its own motion, something no natural object has ever demonstrated. a small group of researchers is pushing an even deeper hypothesis. What if this is technology from a civilization long gone, a device that endured long after its creators vanished? If the trajectory shift is intentional, then 3I Atlas isn't just moving, it's responding. And that raises the question no one wants to say aloud. Responding to what? Whatever lies inside the 3I Atlas has reminded us of something profound. The universe still holds secrets so vast they break every model, every assumption, and every limit of what humanity believes it understands. Think back to the first photos from Voyager, or the famous WOW signal recorded in 1977, a brief unexplained radio burst that made scientists wonder if someone somewhere had whispered back. Those moments made the cosmos feel less like empty silence and more like a conversation waiting to happen. That feeling is returning now. For centuries, we looked into the night sky, convinced we were the only ones paying attention. Now we're starting to consider a different possibility. Maybe the universe has been speaking all along, and we just never recognized the language. NASA has moved to continuous monitoring. As 3I Atlas drifts beyond Jupiter's magnetic field and into the deep solar wind, new data is expected to reveal whether the internal motion continues, stabilizes, or accelerates. If its magnetic signatures evolve, especially in response to solar radiation, scientists say we may be witnessing the first confirmed example of a self-regulating interstellar artifact. Some researchers are even modeling potential outcomes. If the magnetic field strengthens, it could indicate an active energy source rebooting. If the trajectory shifts again, it might suggest navigation or orientation behavior. And if the pulse pattern becomes more complex, we may be looking at structured information, an encoded signal rather than a random fluctuation. For now, one fact stands unquestioned. Something inside the 3I Atlas is real, it moved, and it is watching the same sun we are. So what do you think? Is this an exotic natural phenomenon? Or are we witnessing the quiet awakening of something ancient and intelligent? Share your thoughts below. And if this story sparks the same wonder you felt the first time you looked up at the stars, remember to like, subscribe, and pass it on to someone who still believes the universe is full of mysteries. Because one day, we may realize the universe was never silent. It was simply waiting for us to finally hear it. While NASA publicly maintains a tone of caution, a classified internal memo, one quietly leaked to several research groups, outlines a new, extraordinary hypothesis. It's the first model that attempts to explain every anomaly at once: the motion, the magnetic pulses, the temperature drop, the geometric surface patterns, and the trajectory shift. And it points to something far more complex than an inert vessel drifting through the void. Scientists are calling it the biomechanical intelligence hypothesis. This theory proposes that the 3I Atlas may not be merely a probe or relic, it may be a hybrid construct, part machine and part self-sustaining structure, built using principles similar to biological organization, but on a scale and material complexity far beyond human architecture. In other words, it may be a living machine, not alive in the organic sense, but alive in function. A dark space organism? To understand this possibility, consider how life or lifelike systems might evolve in the interstellar medium. A civilization capable of engineering matter at the atomic or crystalline level could create structures that operate like cells, self-repairing, self-regulating, responsive to stimuli, and capable of extremely long-term survival. Under this theory, the geometric ripples observed on the surface could be morphological responses, similar to how biological membranes change shape when triggered. The electromagnetic pulses might be the equivalent of neural signals, coordinating internal processes. The sudden drop in temperature could represent metabolic activation as the structure shifts energy inward, and the trajectory adjustment, that could be a reflex, similar to how single-celled organisms reposition themselves when exposed to new stimuli. But here's the part that has scientists divided. What if 3I Atlas isn't a vessel, but a traveler? If 3I Atlas is a biomechanical intelligence, it may not contain something alive. It may be the life form. A lone wanderer forged in the dark between stars, drifting not as a mission, but as an existence. Under this scenario, the awakening we're witnessing is more like the coming out of hibernation, a reactivation triggered by the intense magnetic flux of Jupiter. Instead of revealing a hidden chamber, it may be reconfiguring itself, adapting to a new environment, or preparing for something our instruments can't yet detect. And if it is a traveler rather than cargo, the purpose of its presence takes on a deeply different meaning. An interstellar ecosystem? The most speculative version of the hypothesis goes even further. What if the void isn't empty? What if interstellar space hosts its own ecosystem, life forms that thrive not on sunlight, but on plasma fields, cosmic radiation, and magnetic currents? Creatures or constructs that migrate between star systems over eons. If that's the case, 3I Atlas may not be unique. It may simply be the first one we've ever noticed. And there's something else. According to preliminary magnetic mapping, the internal pulses follow a rhythm reminiscent of circadian cycles, not 24 hours, of course, but periodic fluctuations that resemble a biological clock. The patterns may be its equivalent of breathing or sensing. If so, what we are observing is not a message, it's awareness. As the 3I Atlas continues its slow passage through our solar system, we're standing at the edge of a moment humanity has imagined for generations. Whether this object is a natural wanderer behaving in ways we don't yet understand, or a relic from a civilization older than our species itself, we are witnessing something unprecedented. For the first time in history, we may be seeing evidence of an interstellar artifact responding to its environment, shifting, pulsing, and evolving under our observation. What happens next is uncertain. More data will come, more theories will rise, and one day soon, we may have answers that rewrite what we know about life, technology, and our place in the cosmos. But until then, the story is still unfolding, and so is the mystery. Now I want to hear from you. If this scenario were real, what do you think 3I Atlas truly is? A natural anomaly? An ancient vessel? A message drifting across the stars? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's explore the possibilities together. Thanks for spending your time with us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be the first to catch our next adventure. Your support truly means the world. Wishing you a wonderful day ahead.